The Islamic foundations of the Dune films. Frank Herbert's Dune universe, especially as interpreted in Denis Villeneuve's films, is steeped in Islamic motifs, language, and philosophical undercurrents. Though set in the distant future, the world of Dune draws directly from Islamic thought, culture, and spiritual frameworks. This is not accidental. Herbert studied Islamic societies, particularly the Bedouin and North African cultures, and consciously used Islamic terms and ideas to shape the world of Arrakis. Here are three major foundations that reflect Islam's influence in the Dune films. 1. Language and religious terminology. From the outset, the Dune films adopt Islamic-derived language. Terms like Mahdi, a messianic figure in Islamic eschatology, jihad, which is inverted in the films as a struggle or holy war, Shai Hulud, a divine sandworm entity, with Hulud echoing Arabic roots for eternity, and Lisan al-Ghaib, the voice from the outer world. All of these are direct borrowings or adaptations of Arabic and Islamic vocabulary. For example, Mahdi. In both Sunni and Shiite traditions, two of the largest sects in Islam, the Mahdi is the guided one who appears at the end of times to restore justice. Paul Atreides is often referred to as the Mahdi by the Fremen, especially by Stilgar, and his arc mirrors the messianic expectation, an outsider who becomes the Redeemer. And jihad. While often misinterpreted in Western discourse, jihad in Islam primarily refers to a personal, spiritual, collective struggle for righteousness. In Dune, Paul foresees a galaxy-wide jihad in his name, a violent holy war that mirrors the tragic duality of messianic revolutions. The use of Islamic language is not cosmetic. It signals that the philosophical and moral framework of the Fremen is drawn from the structure and sensibility of Islamic cultures. 2. Sufism and the mystical path. The mystical branch of Islam, Sufism, emphasizes inner transformation, divine union, and the unveiling of hidden realities. This aligns with the Bene Gesserit spiritual training and Paul's prophetic visions. The emphasis on inward mastery, sensory control, and perception beyond the physical echoes Sufi thought. Al-Ghazali, a major Sufi thinker, wrote extensively about the purification of the soul in achieving ma'rifah, direct knowledge of God. And the Bene Gesserit resemble Sufi orders called tariqas, each with a lineage, esoteric practices, and an initiatory system meant to unlock hidden knowledge. Their use of the voice has similarities to the Sufi practice of dhikr, remembrance, which uses specific tones and rhythms to invoke divine presence or influence the state of the soul. And Denis Villeneuve extrapolates that to make a sonic landscape that embodies the dhikr that underpins Dune. 3. Desert life. The Fremen culture in Dune closely mirrors the Bedouin tribes of the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. Both are desert dwellers with deep knowledge of harsh environments. They live by strict codes of honor, value hospitality, and have rituals centered around scarce resources. The Fremen still suits, their water discipline, and tribal social structures all echo Bedouin survival practices. This grounds Dune, the books, and the movies in a real-world Islamic cultural history. The Fremen, like the Bedouin of North Africa, are desert people who see water as sacred. This reflects the Quranic view of water as rahmah, mercy, essential and divine. The Fremen's water discipline aligns with amana, the Islamic concept of environmental stewardship, where humans are custodians, not owners of Earth's resources. In Surah Al-Anbiya, the Quran says, "We made from water every living thing." That reverence is woven into the Fremen code. Their still suits, their burial rituals, and their politics are all governed by deep, almost religious respect for water. And the desert setting itself recalls the Islamic concept of fitra, the natural state. In many Islamic philosophies, the desert is a place of stripping away distraction and returning to God. On Arrakis, the desert is not only the physical terrain, but also the spiritual crucible that births transformation. It's where Paul becomes more than just a duke's son. It's where he's tested, revealed, and reborn. So what does Denis Villeneuve do? He acknowledges how Dune borrowed these Islamic ideas. He visually honors them, from the Fremen's flowing robes and sand-colored stillsuits to the architecture inspired by North African and Middle Eastern desert fortresses. Villeneuve builds a world that feels rooted in real cultures. The desert is spiritual. Ironically enough, it was filmed in the deserts of Wadi Rum in Jordan. The name Arrakis itself, phonetically close to Iraq, sets a powerful tone. The structures on Arrakis reflect brutalist minimalism. The palace artwork and architecture strongly reflects traditional Islamic art and design. And one of the most striking visual elements is the mother's attire, which closely resembles the abaya, a long flowing black cloak traditionally worn by women in many Islamic countries. Islam helps form the spiritual and cultural scaffolding of the world Herbert created and Villeneuve visualized in his movies. While Dune makes Islamic influences obvious, it's worth remembering that it isn't an isolated case. Western canon isn't solely built on Greco-Roman and Judeo-Christian foundations. Islamic intellectual narratives, amongst other traditions, are threaded throughout many of the so-called Western masterpieces, often invisibly, often uncredited. Beyond Dune, Goethe, for example, deeply admired the Quran. Immanuel Kant's doctoral thesis opens with the Basmallah, a common Islamic refrain, which states, "In the name of God, the most gracious and the most merciful." This phrase appears on the title page of his 1755 dissertation, On Fire, submitted at the University of Königsberg. Dante's Divine Comedy parallels the Kitab al-Miraj, also known as the Book of Ascension, about the Prophet Muhammad's night journey ascending the 7 levels of heaven from Jerusalem. And this is not to say that the foundations of Dune are purely Islamic. The story also draws in elements from Zen Buddhism, Judaism, and other spiritual traditions. What this shows is that Frank Herbert tapped into what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, a shared human reservoir of symbols and myths and archetypes that transcend any single culture. However, recognizing this collective source does not mean we should dismiss the individual traditions that shape it. The specific influences, Islamic, Buddhist, Judaic, and more, each bring unique insights and perspectives. Acknowledging the Islamic foundations in Dune enriches our understanding of the story's depth and the cultural dialogue it represents. It reminds us that great stories emerge from interconnected human experiences across time and space.